They thought they could walk all over me forever. But nobody knew what was coming next. I'm Charlie Harlow, 34, and to this day, no one in my family has ever taken me seriously. I've always been the odd one out, the screw-up, who didn't carry the important family name for anything. But everything took a wild turn because of a simple request at the jewelry store. That's when I realized how little anyone really knew me. Before we keep going, quick favor. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button, it helps the channel out a ton. Thanks a bunch. Every time I hear my own name, it feels like an anchor dragging on my chest. Harlow. A family steeped in history, loaded with cash, and secrets nobody wants to whisper. To most, I was born to be part of an empire. To me, I was born to carry a burden no one asked for. They see me as the black sheep. The one who got left behind, the one who doesn't fit the family mold. A Harlow who doesn't measure up. A woman who chose to speak her mind, who wants to prove to the world she's worth more than the box they shoved her into. But no one wants to give me a shot to prove anything. My stepmom runs the show, from the company to the style of the dining room curtains. It's like every single decision goes through Evelyn Harlow's ruthless filter. The woman who showed up to organize the family name after my mom passed. The same woman who silenced her own husband, my dad, for good. He avoids trouble. He wants that fake harmony. He wants to keep that chest of dirt he's got tucked away in his heart locked tight. And then there's my half-sister Ava, who loves to flaunt the Harlow name, showing off in lifestyle magazines, trying to prove to everyone that she belongs to a world where, in her mind, I was born not to belong. Ava actually does me a favor, honestly. With every new humiliation, every condescending look she throws my way, it just solidifies what I already think about myself. I don't need anyone's acceptance to prove my own worth. They think I'm stuck forever in this outcast role. But they're dead wrong. I see beyond the surface. Behind the Harlow name there are secrets held in the hands of a few. A reality no one wants to come to light. And I'm going to prove to everyone, to him, to her, to the whole darn family, that I was born for much more than just living in the shadows. Even if no one else realizes it, paths to freedom are popping up for me. With every new injustice, I'm just filing it away. Eventually, I'll use it to break free from everything holding me back. And the first step toward that change arrived in the mail, along with a heavy, thick-papered envelope that no one in the family saw. I grabbed it, trying to steady the tremor that was starting to take over. Inside, something was waiting for me, a sign that the game to prove my worth was about to begin. Still holding the heavy envelope, I took a deep breath and slowly, carefully opened the flap. Inside there was something I didn't expect. A black credit card, the kind that looks like it gives you access to anything. But that wasn't all. Along with it, a short note written in elegant handwriting that made me freeze. Your future doesn't belong to them. I stood there, staring at the words, trying to figure out what they meant. My future didn't belong to them? Who were they, anyway? The family that always belittled me? The controlling stepmom? Or was it something deeper, something no one dared to say out loud? The card had my name, Charlotte Harlow, and a number embossed on it. Felt like a key. An opportunity. An invitation to finally shed the weight of the name that was suffocating me so much. But at the same time, a wave of doubt started to wash over me. Did I deserve this? Was this letter really for me? Or was it some kind of trap? My eyes went back to the note, trying to decipher more than just the simple words. Maybe it was a sign that I didn't need to hide behind the past anymore. That this name Harlow could be my strength, not my sentence. I needed to believe that, even with the fear of stepping into uncharted territory. As I was trying to process all of it, I heard the living room door click open. Before I could hide the envelope or even try to compose myself, Evelyn's firm, controlled voice echoed from behind me. What are you doing with that, Charlotte? She walked closer with that icy stare that always made me back down. My stepmom didn't like it when I took initiatives that were outside her control. To her, that card, that note were just problems waiting to happen. I just found this in the mail. I tried to explain, trying to stay calm. I thought it was for me. She lunged forward, snatching the envelope from my hands with a force that almost hurt. That's not for you. And it's not for your power fantasy. Her tone was venomous, but there was something else, too. A disguised fear, maybe. She held the envelope so tightly it was like she wanted to erase any possibility it might bring. I couldn't answer. I just watched as she tucked the envelope inside her purse, as if she were hiding something too valuable to leave out in the open. In that moment, A mix of anger and curiosity consumed me. Why did she react like that? What was in that envelope that scared her so much? I had to find out. But for now, all I could do was promise myself I wouldn't let anyone control my destiny ever again. The vibe in the house shifted as soon as Evelyn locked the envelope in her purse. I wanted to react, to scream, to ask what she was hiding, but she just gave me that cold smile that made it seem like she was in control of everything, as always. "Charlie, you have no idea what you're messing with," she said, her voice firm, almost threatening. "That card is dangerous and I'm confiscating it before you cause some disaster." I couldn't believe her nerve. I wanted to fight, to show that I had a right to know what was going on, that I deserved more than the sidekick role they'd pushed me into. But before I could argue, Ava walked into the room. "Seriously, Charlie?" Ava let out that loud, contemptuous laugh. "You actually think anyone here is going to take your discovery seriously? The most you'll ever be is the family joke." She rolled her eyes and walked off, strutting away with that arrogance of someone who already has everything planned out to put me down. I stood there trying to piece together words to respond, but my dad's silence was even more painful. My dad has always been like this. He avoided problems, hid the truth, let life pass him by. In that moment, his closed-off expression spoke volumes. He didn't say anything. Didn't defend me, didn't explain. He just turned his face away and left the room. Here's an informal, idiomatic American English translation of your texts. I felt a deeper stab of defeat than anything Evelyn or Ava had thrown my way. I was all alone. My own family, who should have been my safe harbor, just wanted to pretend nothing was wrong, to sweep everything under the rug. Me. I was smack dab in the middle of this storm with nobody to back me up. But deep down, his reaction was also a clue. Why was he keeping quiet? What did he know that he didn't have the guts to say? My heart ached with that question, and a part of me knew that to move forward I had to unearth the truth no matter what it was. Before I could get lost in that whirlwind of emotions, my phone rang. The sudden sound startled me. It was an unknown number. I hesitated, but curiosity got the best of me. "Hello," I said, trying to sound steady even though my heart was pounding. On the other end, a low, fast, urgent voice. "They're trying to silence you. Go to the marked location." Silence dropped heavy after that sentence. I had no clue who they were or what was waiting for me at that place. But something inside me knew it was time to act. That finally I was stepping into a much bigger game than I'd ever imagined. And even with fear pumping hard, a spark of courage started to flicker. I didn't know what to expect when I got the address the anonymous number sent me. The place looked kind of abandoned, nothing like the swanky, modern offices the Harlow family usually frequented. Still, the fear got swapped out for a mix of curiosity and determination. I needed to figure things out. As soon as I walked in, a man in his 50s greeted me. That serious vibe, the thin glasses, the perfectly tailored suit. Everything screamed he wasn't someone to mess with. He introduced himself as the Harlow family lawyer. My heart raced. Why would my own family's lawyer call me to some weird spot? He had me sit down and started talking carefully, like he was weighing every single word. He explained that even though all the family wanted was to bury certain truths, there were documents that couldn't be erased that easily. And one of them was all about me. My blood ran cold when he mentioned that I, Charlie Harlow, was the heir to a significant chunk of the family business. The famous jewelry company everyone knows, but few really know who's actually pulling the strings. For years, my stepmom and half-sister had tried to wipe my existence from that legacy. They tried to keep me away, to stop me from getting access to what was rightfully mine. He talked about a contract, a clause that gave me not just a part of the company but a real say in the decisions. It was like a door had been swung wide open, the very same one they'd always tried to keep locked tight. As he spoke, I felt the weight of everything that had been denied to me crash down on my shoulders. The messy childhood, the humiliations, my dad's silence. It was a lot to take in. But at the same time, I felt a strength I never knew I had. Then, out of nowhere, he pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket and tossed a contract onto the table. The lettering was formal, cold, but it carried a huge punch. There it was, the document officially naming me the heir to the jewelry company. My breath hitched. A mix of fear, anger, and hope completely took over. Finally, I had a weapon against all of them, what was mine by right. But before I could say anything, the lawyer paused for a long time and looked at me with a serious gaze. "But know this, Charlotte, accepting this could change everything. Not everyone in the family is going to take it well." Those words echoed inside me. I knew this decision wouldn't just be mine. It was a battle against those who always wanted to keep me invisible. As I got up to leave, the contract still sat on the table like a promise or a threat. Night fell heavy on the house, but nothing compared to the weight in my chest when I decided it was time to confront my dad and Evelyn. I couldn't stay in the shadows anymore, pretending nothing was happening while secrets swirled like poison in the air. I found them in the living room, him slumped in the armchair looking worn out, and her with that smile that always seemed to hide something. My heart was pounding, but I had to speak up. Dad, I know everything now, I started firm. About the inheritance, the card, everything. Why did you guys try to keep me out of it? Silence filled the room. My dad looked away, which only ratcheted up the tension. Charlie. He sighed, his voice heavy with exhaustion. I did what I thought was best for you. I wanted to protect you from the fights and disputes that wouldn't bring anything but pain. I felt like screaming. Protect? He just brushed me aside like I was a problem, a bad apple in the family. Evelyn jumped in, her voice sweet and venomous all at once. It's not just about protecting Charlie. This is about control. And I've always been here to make sure things stayed in order. That moment got super tense. She talked like the right to the company was some personal fight, not a family legacy. And right then I realized the war wasn't just against my dad's silence, but against Evelyn's ambition. I looked at him, searching for some courage, some truth he could give me. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, almost a whisper. He closed his eyes, seemed to fight against something inside him. Because I was scared, Charlie. Scared of what could happen if you got involved. Scared of the people around us. And of Evelyn. That revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. My dad knew more than he let on. He was stuck between protecting his daughter and controlling the storm that was our family. I took a deep breath, trying not to let despair take over. I'm not letting you guys decide my fate, I said firmly. I'm fighting for what's mine. Evelyn smirked. We'll see if you have the guts for that, Charlotte. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. It was a simple message, but it seemed to carry the full weight of the decision I was about to make. Show up at the jewelry store tomorrow morning. As the new partner. My stomach clenched. This was the opportunity I'd been waiting for, but also the start of a showdown I couldn't avoid anymore. And as I stared at my phone screen, I knew nothing would ever be the same. I showed up at the jewelry store that morning with my heart racing and a mix of nerves and determination. The display cases sparkled in the sunlight, each piece gleaming with a story of power and luxury. But for me, that day represented way more than just jewelry. It was the start of a battle for my own name. As soon as I walked through the door, I noticed the stares. Some customers greeted me with a slight smile, but my family members didn't even try to hide their disdain. Evelyn shot me a cold look like she was challenging me without fear. Ava, with that arrogant expression, barely hid her ironic smirk. The manager walked me to the main office, where the lawyer who'd laid out the contract was already waiting. Right there, in front of all the company employees, I was officially introduced as the new partner and heir of Harlow Jewelers. The words hung heavy in the air, but I said them firmly. It was my moment, even with ghosts from the past lurking around. It didn't take long for the tension to explode. Evelyn just couldn't hold it in. You really think just because you've got a piece of the name you can make decisions? The Harlow name isn't just some random surname. It means power, wealth, and respect, she snapped, trying to get under my skin. But I knew the weight those words carried. The Harlow name was synonymous with an empire, with billions in business, but also with well-kept secrets and family betrayals. I spoke, my voice steady. Exactly. It's a legacy that belongs to me just as much as it does to you all. And unlike you, I'm not afraid to fight for it. The argument heated up, and for the first time, I realized the future of the company and the family was truly in my hands. Everyone was waiting to see if I'd be able to keep the legacy alive or if I'd crumble under the pressure. In the middle of that whirlwind, a figure showed up. Someone I hadn't seen in years, but who I knew could mess everything up. Marcus. He was totally unexpected, someone who brought back memories from my past and seemed ready to mess with my destiny for his own gain. The air got heavy when he walked into the main hall, eyes locked on me with an enigmatic smirk. Welcome back, Charlotte, he said like he was calling the shots. My mind raced. What did he want? Why was he back now? And more importantly, was he on my side? Or against me? The jewelry store, which had seemed like a stage for glory minutes ago, was now turning into the scene of a new showdown. I never imagined facing the past would be so painful. After Marcus showed up, something inside me stirred, a mix of fear and courage I needed to figure out. That's when I reconnected with Rachel, an old school friend who had vanished from my life years ago. She called me for a discreet coffee, far from my family's prying eyes. As soon as we sat down, she looked me straight in the eye and said without mincing words, "Charlie, there are things you need to know. Evelyn was never just the abusive stepmom you knew. She orchestrated everything to keep you away. Every humiliation, every bit of contempt, was part of a plan to cut you out of the company." I felt the anger burn inside me. How could someone plot so much malice? Rachel explained that Evelyn had manipulated my dad, isolating me from the family and the business, without me even realizing it. She spread lies to make it seem like I wasn't capable of taking on any role in the company. Those words were a shock, but also a confirmation. Everything I'd felt since I was a kid wasn't just paranoia or resentment. It was a cruel strategy to destroy me. As she talked, the desire to prove my worth grew like a flame that couldn't be put out. I wasn't the black sheep they painted me as. I was a Harlow legitimate, and I was ready to fight. But it wasn't just anger I felt. There was also a deep sadness for having been left behind, for having been used as a pawn in a game I didn't even know existed. In that moment, I promised myself I wouldn't let Evelyn win. I'd have my place no matter what it took. When I left that meeting, my phone buzzed with a message that seemed to seal my fate. Partnership closed. Charlie needs to be removed. Procedures initiated. I knew Evelyn was cooking up something bigger, something to take me down for good. The game had just leveled up. I wasn't just fighting against my dad's silence or my half-sister's arrogance anymore. Now it was a battle against a secret alliance, a conspiracy to eliminate me from the equation. My heart clenched, but I knew I had to keep a cool head. If they thought I was going to give up, they had another thing coming. The truth was a weapon, and I was ready to use it. But before I could even breathe a sigh of relief, the door opened and a cold voice cut through the air. "Charlotte, we have business to discuss." Evelyn was there, more determined than ever, with a smile that clearly said, "I'm going to finish you." With the contract making my position in the company official in my hands, I knew I needed to act fast to make sure my voice was heard, and that my rights were respected. So I made a game-changing decision. I asked for a full audit of Harlow Jewelers' finances and operations. It was a simple request, but bold. I wanted to understand where we stood, how the money was being used, and most importantly, to prove I could manage all of it with transparency and competence. When I brought the idea to the board meeting, I expected resistance, but not that much opposition. Evelyn was the first to stand up, with that fake smile I knew all too well. "Charlotte, this is just a distraction. There's nothing to hide. You're just trying to create drama where there is none," she said, trying to discredit my initiative. I held her gaze steady, ignoring the jab. "This isn't about drama, Evelyn. It's about responsibility. And as a partner, I demand this audit." My dad stayed quiet, looking down as if he didn't want to be there. Ava let out a little chuckle, a cold sound that seemed to mock my efforts. In the days that followed, I noticed the sabotage starting to unfold. Documents disappeared, information was delayed, and employees who should have been helpful strangely kept their distance. I felt the weight of the fight, but I wasn't about to back down. Every obstacle only strengthened my resolve. Then finally the audit report arrived. I sat down with the lawyer and the financial manager to go over every page, every number, every transaction. And that's when everything changed. The report pointed to a significant embezzlement in the company's finances, something no one had predicted. And to my surprise, or maybe not so much, Evelyn's name was among the main ones involved. It was a bomb about to go off. I knew exposing this would mean an earthquake in the family, a direct confrontation that could destroy everything, or, who knows, finally give me a chance to rebuild my place. As I processed the information, a message popped up on my phone, a direct and clear warning. "They know you're getting too close. Be careful." My heart pounded. The fight was just beginning, and the ground under my feet was shaking dangerously. But I couldn't give up. The truth was right there, staring me in the face, and I had to see it through, no matter the cost. When I got the report revealing the embezzlement, I felt a mix of relief and responsibility. I knew it was my chance to turn the tables, to show that I wasn't just the family's black sheep, but someone capable of fighting for the justice everyone deserved. "Got it. Here's your text translated into informal, natural American English," with adaptations and idioms. I set up an emergency meeting with the board members and called my family together to face the music. I handed everyone the evidence, a detailed, undeniable document. Their faces changed instantly. Panic set in, especially in Evelyn's eyes. She tried to play it cool, but it was a total fail. "This is a mistake," she started yelling, trying to discredit the evidence, but nobody was listening. The room went dead silent. My dad, who always dodged conflict, finally spoke up, his voice tired and defeated. "Charlotte, maybe it's time to accept that things have changed." Ava, my half-sister, looked at me differently. She wasn't the arrogant girl who used to mock me anymore. She was starting to see the truth. I wasn't there to just cause chaos. I wanted justice. I wanted everyone to know who really carried the weight of the bad decisions, the quiet betrayals. In just a few days, the police showed up to officially investigate the company. Evelyn got busted for financial fraud, news that echoed all over town. As they took her away, I saw the shock and defeat on her face. Finally, her mask had fallen. But the real surprise came from Ava. In a private chat, she came up to me and in a voice softer than usual said, "Charlotte, I was wrong about you. I'm so sorry for everything I did." That totally caught me off guard. I didn't expect an apology from her, but maybe it was the start of something new, a real fresh start between us. Still, I knew this victory didn't mean the battle was over. The truth came with a hefty price, and the road ahead was far from done. But now, for the first time, I felt like I was in the driver's seat of my own story, and no one could just knock me down so easily anymore. After the scandal blew up, everything changed, not just at the company but in me too. The name Harlow, which for so long felt like a shadow I carried around uncomfortably, finally started to mean something different. Now it was mine. The family who used to ignore me or treat me like I wasn't part of their legacy just drifted away. They were too busy trying to clear their own names or trying to hide their own screw-ups. My dad, always the quiet one, kept his distance, probably trying not to get too involved and make things worse. My half-sister Ava was still trying to deal with what went down, but I could feel something new brewing between us, a bridge I was willing to build. Meanwhile, I worked my tail off to solidify my place at the company. I spent hours poring over numbers, getting to know every single detail of the business, making decisions I never even had a chance to make before. It was like the weight of the past was replaced by a responsibility I could finally embrace. It was no small feat, but the feeling of finally being the master of my own destiny gave me strength I'd never felt before. That's when I got an unexpected invite. A partnership proposal from a highly respected investor in the market, someone who saw potential for something bigger in my name and my story. It was a chance for growth, to expand the company beyond what I'd ever imagined. But it was also a test. A test to see if I was truly ready to lead, to take risks and face whatever came my way. I knew accepting this partnership meant stepping into a new game with rules I still needed to learn. But something inside me said it was the right time. That day, sitting in the office I could now call my own, I looked out the window and thought about how far I'd come from that girl who was disrespected in her own home. The journey was still far from over, but finally I felt like I was in control. And then my phone buzzed with a simple message that held a world of possibilities. Partnership confirmed. "Welcome to the future, Charlotte." Sitting in my office, the silence felt heavy but also full of possibilities. I looked out the window thinking about everything that had happened. The battles, the betrayals, the tears, and the small wins that brought me here. I lost people I thought would always be on my side. My family, who rejected me so many times, now felt more like strangers than a safe haven. Evelyn, with her arrogance and control, was gone from my life, for better or worse. Ava, my half-sister, had shown signs of changing, but it was still an uncertain road. But in the middle of all this chaos, I gained something I never thought possible. My own name, my own space. It wasn't just about money or power, it was about identity. Harlow wouldn't be a dirty mark I tried to hide anymore. It would be my legacy, and I was determined to use it for something bigger. I thought about what I wanted to do with this newfound power. I didn't want to just be another boss, an empty figure of authority. I wanted the company to become an example of integrity, responsibility, and female strength. And I knew that for that to happen, I'd have to make tough choices, let go of certain things, and always be ready for the unexpected. While I was deep in these thoughts, my phone rang. It was the lawyer, the last person I expected to have news for me. "Charlotte, we need to talk. There are still secrets, things your family tried to hide that could change everything," he said, his voice grave. My heart pounded. I thought I was ready for anything, but that sentence sent a chill down my spine. What else was hidden? What did I still not know? And more importantly, was I truly ready to handle the truths that were coming? The path that seemed to be opening before me was far from a straight line. On the contrary, every step revealed a new challenge, a new crossroads. And I was about to find out that, sometimes, the biggest battles are the ones that haven't even started yet. The new partnership wasn't just a business deal. It was a chance to show the world who I really was. Harlow wouldn't be a name stained by secrets and lies anymore. I wanted to turn it into a symbol of justice, transparency, and redemption. Every decision I made, every step I took had a clear purpose: to rebuild everything my way without bending to anyone else's expectations. I was the master of my own destiny, and I wouldn't let anyone dictate my worth anymore. In the months that followed, the company went through a silent revolution. Clear policies, transparency at all levels, social responsibility, all of this began to define the new face of Harlow. But the most important thing for me was the personal transformation. After years of carrying grudges, rejections, and humiliations, I finally made peace with myself. I learned that my worth wasn't in what others thought, but in what I knew I deserved and could achieve. There were moments when the pain of the past still tried to pull me down, but I faced it head-on, knowing that every scar was part of my story, but didn't define my future. The cycle of pain and injustice that marked my life was closing, and a new chapter was beginning. A chapter where I was the main character of my own story. I had shown everyone, and myself, that no one could tell me what I was worth anymore. It was the end of an era, but also the beginning of my legacy. If this story touched you, leave a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this story, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, because we still have a lot to prove to the world.